Sir, can you state your name and spell your name for the court reporter?
Brendan Banfield, Brendan Banfield.
And Brendan, how old are you?
40.
And you were married to Christine Banfield, correct?
Yes.
And how long were you and Christine together?
We were together since we were 18.
And how did you meet?
We met freshman year at college at Quinnipiac University.
Now, where are you originally from?
I am from Long Island, New York.
And is that where you grew up?
Yes, I lived there the majority of my life.
Now, what prompted you to come down to Virginia?
I received a promotion from my job with the Internal Revenue Service. I previously was a tax compliance officer, and I received a promotion to special agent with IRS criminal investigation.
Okay. We'll get back to that later. Let's talk about your family. Before Christine's death, describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your family was.
My family was me, Christine, and my daughter Valerie.
And what kind of things would you do? Well, prior to you having Valerie, what kind of things would you and Christine enjoy together?
Christine and I had a very active social life. We spent a lot of time with our friends. This included playing board games and cards, as well as going on vacations together, and going on vacations with other couples that we were friends with. We did a lot of hiking, going to different forests and different mountains kind of around the country. We also spent some time. We played kickball together. We did quite a bit intramurally.
Okay. And when Valerie came along, were you in New York or were you in Virginia?
We were still in New York at that point.
Okay. And so how old was she when you left New York?
She was not one yet. She was 10, 11 months.
Okay. Now, what kind of things, and sorry, once again, before Valerie, what kind of things would, in addition to the hiking, what kind of things would you and Christine enjoy doing together?
I would say that we spent a lot of time together. When we weren't working, we did a lot of work around our house. We had two dogs, two huskies that we took care of. We're often taking them on our walks and hikes.
And so, in addition to those things, you also both worked?
Yes.
And what did Christine do for work?
Christine had several different jobs. Her primary position was as a pediatric intensive care unit nurse. At other points, she did private health care for an individual family. She also did some product training for medical devices, and she also worked as a sexual assault nurse examiner for several years.
Okay. And where was that? Was that in New York?
Those were in New York, and when we came to Virginia, she continued as a pediatric intensive care unit nurse and trainer for Inova here in Virginia.
Okay. Now, in terms of your work, when you were in New York, what did you do?
I mostly worked for the Internal Revenue Service. Before I came to Virginia, I was a tax compliance officer. I also worked at a math tutoring center known as Mathnasium, where I was center director, and Christine actually worked there
Okay,
with
and
me as well.
Was this a business that the two of you owned?
Yes, this was a business that we owned together and worked at together.
Okay, and how did you divide the duties in this small business?
Generally, we had about 5 to 7 employees in addition to ourselves. I ran most of the day-to-day activity which would be the after-school hours for when kids would come and study math with the tutors. I did math assessments. I spoke to the parents about where their child was and how we could generally get them to where they would be needed to be, where at their current grade level. Christine helped quite a lot with the hiring process. She worked on marketing. She also spent a lot of time tutoring some of the younger students.
And how long did the two of you run that business together?
About 3 years.
Okay. And when you moved from New York to Virginia, what, if anything, did you do with the business?
Prior to moving to Virginia, we sold the business because we weren't going to be able to operate it from Virginia.
Now, you indicated previously that Valerie was born up in New York. How old was she when she came down to Virginia with you?
I believe about 11 months. I don't know the exact date that we moved here, but yes.
Now, in terms of Christine's career and your career moving from New York to Virginia, were you both in line with coming down here for your job?
It was a promotion for myself, but it was also ended up being a promotion for Christine when she applied to Inova, because she was going to be training the newer hires as well after she finished her own orientation period. And so this was going to be a pay raise, and she always liked mentoring new nurses when she was at Stony Brook Hospital. So this allowed her to more formally control some of the training process of the nurses in the pediatric ICU.
And so did she look at this move, even though it was for your job and your training, did she look at this as something that was a positive, or?
I would say that once she started applying to positions here, because she applied to like Children's National Hospital and a few others, and she realized some of the opportunities with her background, that this was going to be positive for her career as well. But I mean, she was also concerned because we weren't going to be next to our family, which was mainly in New York at that point.
Okay.
But there was a lot of benefit, and we viewed that it was beneficial to us and our family and Valerie.
Now, you met when you were 18, so how long were you together, including your non-married life and married life?
About 19 and a half years.
And how would you characterize your relationship with Christine?
For the most part, we were pretty inseparable. We were together the entire time. We didn't break up at any point. We were from college to our first jobs after college, to buying our first house together, to marriage, to getting a dog and a second dog, and then moving down here. We were always together, always planning for the future. This was part of our life.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about Valerie. Were you and Christine actively involved in Valerie's life?
Yes, I would say that we were very active in Valerie's life.
Okay, when you invited Valerie into the family, when she came into the family, how did that work within regard to your family dynamic?
Mr. Carroll, I think you had the wrong name. When you invited Valerie into the family?
Their daughter?
The daughter? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when Valerie was born, I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
So I'm sorry, there's a little confusion, I apologize. Valerie, your daughter, I said invited her into your life.
Yeah.
When she was born, how did that affect the relationship, and how did you all kind of change to take care of Valerie?
I would say that Valerie brought all of our family closer together, including my mother and our in-laws. It kind of brought everyone near to each other. There was a lot of overlap, a lot of family visits, a lot of care from specifically both grandmothers, helping both me and Christine when Valerie was born, and that it was a very joyous moment for our family. She was really the first grandchild for both sets of grandparents.
And so when she was born, it sounded like a positive thing for everything.
Yes.
And what, if any, involvement did you have, and what involvement did Christine have, knowing that you're both working full time?
So our schedules are a bit strange for childcare purposes. Christine would work 12-and-a-half-hour shifts, which generally meant that she was leaving at 6:30 in the morning and would be coming back at roughly 7:30 at night. When I was in New York, I was working 6 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. And so on days where both of us were working, generally one of the grandmothers was the primary caregiver when Christine's maternity leave and my leave ended after Valerie was born.
Okay, and so it worked out between all of you?
Yes, it seemed to be going pretty well.
Okay, now, how old is Valerie now?
Valerie's she'll be 8 in March, so 7 currently.
Okay, and do you, since this situation has started, do you have contact with her?
Yes, I talk to her basically every day by video chat, often also by phone.
Now, when she was younger, what kind of involvement did you have with her education?
I spent a lot of time on her education. I guess I've spent a lot of time teaching math over the years, and even from before she was in preschool, I spent a lot of time basically what I would call numerical fluency, starting with counting and moving up through. I've currently been working with times tables with her, which is above grade level. So I've been doing math work with her basically from 2 until present. But I also monitor quite a bit of what work she does at school, and with this, I spend a lot of time reading with her, and we do. I guess I would say that I make. I call them activity pages, but essentially they're like crossword puzzles and word searches, rhyming words, or consonant combinations such as like ST or CK, and then I'll give a description of a word, and then the word will match. So if it was like TR, and this is a plant that grows tall, she might write tree, and things like that, so that she would work additionally on whatever letter combinations they're currently working on in school as additional practice. I do a lot of design work for that also.
Okay, and you're designing these things for her to be able to continue kind of working with you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about things like science and engineering and all that sort of thing? Did you ever get into any of that with?
So we always did quite a bit of Legos, basically starting at like 2. But after that, we started doing these projects from Kiwi Company, where you would do things like make a little device that would spin a coin for you, or that would launch a disc and you could aim it at a target. We went past that, and now we were doing these Crunch Lab boxes, where we were working on things like rocket launches, and there was quite a few others. There was designing of animals, and like stuffed animals, and there was also like different circuits where it would show you how to design basically a button, and then when pressing the button would allow like animations to move or things like that, and it would show more details of how a lot of electronics would work.
What kind of things would you and Christine do with her?
We spent a lot of time in nature, the three of us. Behind our house is Frying Pan Farm. So walking distance, we have walking trails, and we can walk to Frying Pan Farm where Valerie would definitely like to see the animals. We had a membership to the National Aquarium in Baltimore, and that was, we went there frequently. Sorry, was there more to your question?
It was about the three of you doing things together.
We also spent we would go on vacations. There was quite a bit of spending time with family in terms of going to the water, whether going to the beaches or even with my in-laws going to on their boat and going fishing.
Now, how did you observe the relationship between Christine and Valerie?
Christine loved Valerie very dearly, and Valerie was very attached to her mother. It was tragic, their separation, but when Valerie was always very excited as soon as Christine would get home from work. She would run up to her mother and say, be happy, and call her mama. And, they spent quite a bit of time doing art-related projects. Christine would often bring Valerie to dance when she was not working.
Now, did you love your wife?
Very much.
Did you want to continue your marriage with your wife?
Yes.
Do you love your daughter, Valerie?
More than anything.
Your Honor, I'm going to try to show some pictures,
Okay,
if I can.
all right.
Judge, I might need some assistance from
All right, sir,
Mr.
can you help
Litsky.
him?
I can't see it again. To go through the Thank you, sir. Sir, can you see the picture that's on the screen?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'd identify that as Defense Exhibit number 220. Do you recall that situation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and Your Honor, I move that in as Defense Exhibit 220.
Any objection?
If we could lay some foundation.
All right, just a foundation.
Do you recall this event?
Yes,
When was that?
this was a trip that we took to, that was in Pennsylvania. We had gone to the Poconos, and we spent some days there in a cabin. This was during that trip. We went to a mud run called Warrior Dash.
And do you remember when that occurred?
I mean, not the exact date, but I would say that it was. So it's. I would say it was in 2018.
Okay, so would that have been?
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, probably, sorry, I think it's closer to like 2015.
Okay, so that would have been when you were living in New York?
Yes,
And that would have been prior to Valerie?
yes,
And is this Christine with you?
yes, it is.
And Your Honor, move that in as Defense Exhibit 220.
Judge, I'm not sure how a 10-year-old photo is relevant, but given that,
Do you have an objection or not?
no, it's fine.
No objection, 220.
And so was this a plan that you made to go to the mud run, or is this something that you just?
No,
How did it come about?
we planned a whole trip to the Poconos. We went to a concert while we were there. We spent time in a cabin. We did quite a bit of hiking. It was a fun trip.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to move to the next slide.
All right.
That would be identified as Exhibit 221. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
Was this the same race?
It is not.
Where is this located?
This one took place on Long Island, close to our house in, I believe, Calverton.
Okay. Your Honor, I move that in as Defense Exhibit 221.
Any objection?
No.
221.
Sorry, Your Honor, to the next slide. Exhibit 365. Is that a picture? What is that a picture of?
This is a picture of me and Christine on a fishing boat that leaves out of Port Jefferson.
And do you know when that was?
Probably 5 or 6 years ago.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I think I said, I think it's 365. Did I say that?
Yeah, you said
Okay,
365.
thank you. Your Honor, move that in as Exhibit 365.
Any objection?
No.
365.
And sir, do you see this video or this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And who's depicted in this photograph?
This is me and Valerie, and Christine's face seems to be cut off, but I believe that's her as
Is that
well.
her in there? Okay. And do you know when that was taken?
This appears to be when Valerie was 4, probably the fall before Christine died.
Your Honor, move this in as Defense Exhibit 366.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
366.
Sir, do you see this one?
Yes, sir.
And who is that with you?
Christine.
And is that, well, tell me what it is.
I believe that this is at a rehearsal dinner for one of our friends' weddings, the day before their wedding.
And where did that take place? New York or Virginia?
New York.
Your Honor, I move that in as Defense Exhibit 367.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
367.
Sir, do you see that?
Yes.
And what if, who are the people involved in that?
This is me, Christine, and Valerie.
And do you remember that?
This is on a flight from here in Virginia to Florida before we were going on a cruise. This would have been in 2022.
Your Honor, move that in as Exhibit 368.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
368.
Sir, do you recognize this picture?
Yes, this is me, Christine, and Valerie on the cruise after that flight.
Your Honor, move that in as 369.
All right. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
369.
And sir, do you remember this?
Yes, this is on the same cruise at a formal dinner that we went to there. And this is Valerie is excited for, I believe, dessert to be coming, and Christine seems very happy about it.
Your Honor, move that in as Defense Exhibit 370.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
370.
Sir, do you see the exhibit on the screen?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
We took 2 cruises in 2022. This would be the one that's in November. This was the first time Valerie went ice skating. I took her ice skating on the cruise ship.
And was that Christine taking the picture, do you know?
I think I took the picture myself.
Okay, was Christine on that cruise?
Christine was on that cruise, but she did not go ice skating.
Okay. Your Honor, I move that in as Defense Exhibit 371.
Any objection?
No, thank you.
371.
And sir, do you see this?
Yes.
And what is this a picture of?
This is on that same cruise. We were with our friends. Another couple. They have a son that's the same age as Valerie. They would be the ones that took this photo.
Your Honor, I move that in as Exhibit 372.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
372.
Do you remember this picture, sir?
Yes.
Where was that?
This is in New York, when Valerie was still less than 1.
And did Christine take this picture?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move that in as Exhibit 373.
Any objection?
No objection.
373.
Dinner.
I think you skipped like 20.
Yeah, I must have. Sir, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And who are the people in that photo?
This is my grandmother. Valerie calls her Gigi. And this is Valerie when she was still 0. This is at my mom's house in New York.
Your Honor, I move that in as Exhibit 374.
Any objection?
Judge, at this point, I am going to
You wanna
object to
appro-
relevance.
You want to approach?
Sir, can you see the photo on the screen, Exhibit 375?
Yes, I can.
And what is that?
Christine took a picture of me when Valerie was only a couple months old. Valerie snuggled up with me in bed.
You're going to move that in as Exhibit 375?
Any objection?
Judge, objection, relevance, and cumulative.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Sir, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, what's the significance of this photo in terms of your family?
This is taken in Georgia, in Brunswick, Georgia. This is the day of my graduation from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center Academy. And Christine and Valerie had visited me for the graduation ceremony.
Your Honor, I move this in as or Defense Exhibit 377?
I'm sorry, Judge, same objection, relevance, and cumulative.
Sustain the objection to relevance and cumulative.
Sir, let's move on. Did you have a relationship with Juliana Perez Magahais?
Yes.
And tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when did that start?
I guess the relationship started as professional in October of 2021 when she came to be a au pair or a nanny for our family.
Okay, and she came through an agency?
Yes, from Cultural Care is the agency.
What were the parameters of the cultural care exchange that she came through? Do you know?
She would come and provide childcare for the family. It would include room and board, that she would be able to take educational opportunities, such as at a local community college. She can work, I believe, up to 45 hours a week, and she would generally provide a loving environment and activities for Valerie.
Okay, and had you had a previous au pair before her?
Yes, we had an au pair prior to her. Her name was Amanda. She was with us for 2.5 years.
And so Juliana was your second au pair?
Correct.
And so explain kind of from when she got there in October 21, what were her duties and how did you utilize her time when you and Christine were working?
So once we moved to Virginia, our work schedules were, I guess, more erratic because my work schedule was not set any longer as well. So Christine would still be working generally the 12.5-hour days, but I may have to work at hours that could start at 5 in the morning and sometimes could be going late into the evening. So while generally I would know what I had to do for the day and maybe how long it would take, it wasn't convenient for conventional childcare in terms of having Valerie go to, say, a daycare, because generally they're not open at 6:30 in the morning until nighttime. So generally, the au pair that we had would work similar hours to that Christine had. And when I got home from work, the au pair would be no longer working for the day, or if it was on the weekend that Christine had to work, the au pair generally would be off. So the au pair kind of worked basically 3 12-hour shifts coinciding with Christine's job most of the time. But sometimes if Christine didn't have that many hours during the regular work week, Christine may choose to have the au pair work other hours so that Christine could get things done around the house or other activities that she had to do.
So in terms of your contact with Juliana, describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what kind of contact would you have on a daily basis prior to having a relationship?
Prior to having a relationship, it was mostly logistical. I may inform her when I was going to get home from work, if I had any delays, making sure that Valerie was getting to, say, dance lessons if Christine and I were not available then. Juliana would generally bring Valerie to preschool on the days that she was working. And we might just talk about activities for her to do with Valerie on days that they were working.
Okay. And when was it that this turned from a working relationship to something else?
In August of 2022.
Okay. Describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how that happened.
So in August, Juliana and I were home alone. I had to work on both Saturday and Sunday. So I believe the original day was a Friday. Christine and Valerie were in New York, and Juliana started texting me while I was preparing food in the kitchen. It was an unusual line of text as she was complaining about.
Let me, if I may just
Sure.
interrupt. Where was she and where were you in the house?
I was in the kitchen. I believe she was upstairs in her room.
Okay. Sorry. Please go. Continue.
It was a unusual text conversation in terms of that Juliana was complaining about her dating activity and the people that she was seeing at the time. I don't particularly like texting, and I think I basically said that if she wanted to talk, that she could come to the kitchen.
Okay. And what, if anything, happened?
At that point, Juliana showed me quite a few screenshots of her dating app. I believe it was Hinge, and the people that were in the Hinge app all had similar names to me. Their names were Brendan and Brandon and Brennan. And these were people that she had matched with on the app.
And so, and how did it progress from there?
She was making quite a few jokes about it. At some point, I finished cooking and was eating. I don't believe that Juliana actually ate dinner at the same time. We talked about other unrelated things. Talked about there was some family history of alcoholism and how her family in Brazil was dealing with that. And we spent maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours talking about some random things, but also about her dating history. During this time, when she was talking about different people, she was described people that she was interested in, people that were taller, people that were older, and it appeared to me that she was, along with the photos, that the screenshots that she had shown me of people that she had matched with, that she was basically describing me. Also, I guess when we were having this conversation, we were sitting at the island in the kitchen, and she scooted her seat closer to mine a couple times.
And so what did you do at that point?
I did not stop her advances. At some point, I told her that I was going to go upstairs, indicating that I was going to go to bed. And she said that she was tired and that she was going to do the same. A little bit of information about the upstairs of my house. Once you go upstairs, the master bedroom is to the left, and all the other bedrooms are to the right. So her bedroom, a guest bedroom, and Valerie's bedroom are to the right. When I went upstairs, I went to the left, and she also took a step towards the left with me. And we had a brief conversation there, and then she came with me into my bedroom.
Did you ever talk to her either that night or later about a continuing relationship?
We did not talk that night about continuing a relationship. We did talk about, I would say, in the next few days, I guess we spoke a little bit about the relationship. She had indicated that she was concerned that I was going to tell Christine and that she was going to be essentially fired and sent back and lose her job, which I indicated that I wasn't going to tell her.
Okay. Did you tell her anything about what had just happened and what that was?
Yes, I mean, that would be that we were having an affair. I had also indicated to her that I had previous affairs, and that really this was just an affair, and not that there would be no other relationship, that there's, that basically that this is something that I have had affairs previously, and that there's nothing that changes in mine and Christine's relationship.
Now, was Christine aware of your affair?
I don't believe she was aware of the affair between me and Juliana.
Was she aware of your previous affairs?
She was aware of at least 2 previous affairs.
Okay, and likewise, were you aware of her affairs?
Yes, I was also aware that she had affairs.
Okay, and how did the two of you manage in your relationship moving forward with those facts?
So I guess in about 2013, it was found that we had quite a few discussions. At that point, Christine was working at the private healthcare, and she would travel for work for an entire week at a time, basically. And during this time, she would not be available to come home. Her shift was literally the entire week. So we were separated a lot. My job, I wasn't in at my previous position, but my job also required some travel. I spent about 6 months in Jacksonville. I spent another month in Kansas City, and I was living in New York, but I also spent some time here in the DC area. So we were both traveling quite a lot for work. I guess that was poor for our relationship at that point. We had gone to therapy. We went to couples therapy for several months. We had decided that we were going to continue our marriage.
So now back to 2022. You and Juliana were having an affair outside of the knowledge of Christine?
Yes.
And how did that look on a daily basis?
It's not the same. It's not the same all the time, but I guess it depended, a lot on Christine's work schedule. So Juliana may spend time with me and Valerie during the day instead of when I would get home from work. Juliana used to just kind of leave. She might go to her room or she might go out prior to our relationship. And afterwards, it was more like she chose to do whatever I was going to do with Valerie, whether it was going to be stay home or, like I was Valerie's soccer coach. So when I would go to soccer practice, sometimes Juliana would go, even though I wasn't interacting with her at all. Basically, she was choosing to be with me whenever she could choose to be with me.
So let's move toward the October timeframe of 2022. Did you ever create any sort of a plan with Juliana?
No, there was no plan. At this point, our relationship is maybe 6 to 8 weeks old. I think that it's an absurd line of questioning for something that is not serious, that a plan was made to get rid of my wife. That is absolutely crazy.
So with no plan, let's talk about Silver Eagle Armory.
Sure.
Okay. So how did that happen where Juliana went to you or went with you to the Silver Eagle Armory?
So it was basically one of those things where it was something that I was going to be doing outside the house. Generally, I would go to a shooting range every month, every other month, to practice before my qualifications for my job.
And how many times did you have to qualify for your job?
You have to qualify twice a year, but there's practice there's practice on the opposite quarters. So there would be, 2 trainings and 2 qualifications. And generally, I would go practice prior to having one of those training sessions or qualifications at my job.
And how is it that Juliana ended up coming?
I was going to be going there anyways. She thought it would be fun to attend as well, as it was going to be out of the house. It was something that there wasn't going to be risk of being found out by Christine.
Okay, so the relationship continued into that October or December timeframe?
Yes.
Okay, So when you're, in terms of training for people that go to Silver Eagle, is there any sort of training class or anything like that?
The first time you go there, they do a safety class, making sure that you understand the fundamentals of using a firearm, that you treat all firearms if they're loaded. You never point a firearm at anything that you're not willing to shoot. Things like that, making sure that you understand the safety mechanisms of a firearm, and making sure that you understand range etiquette, that the gun should always be pointed down range, it should never be pointed at another person, things like that.
And is this something that you knew through your training?
Yes, this is something that is also discussed in my trainings.
And so would this training that you're talking about at Silver Eagle be for someone who's never shot a gun before?
Yes, it would be for a kind of a beginner lesson.
Okay. And she went with you twice, correct?
Yes, she did.
Was there, in having her come to the range, was there any plan that she was going to back you up on some plan?
I mean, there was no plan at this point when we had gone to the range. There was none of the suspect email account. There was no FetLife account. There was no Telegram messages. None of that existed at the point that we went to the range.
Okay. Now, did FetLife or Gmail or Telegram ever exist for you?
I did not know about them until after Christine died. I didn't get to see them until after Juliana's arrest.
And you're talking about the criminal reports, the police reports, things like that?
Yes.
The things that the Commonwealth gives?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move toward, so let me ask you this. There's some dates that came up recently. Some dates that came up recently relating to the FetLife account and lack of activity. Do you remember what occurred, what was going on January 13th and 14th of 2023?
Not specifically, I don't.
Okay. Do you remember a weekend in Winchester?
Yes, I do remember a weekend in
Who was
Winchester.
with you in Winchester?
I went to Winchester for work. I was going to be there for 2 days. I was going to be there for 2 days. So I had a hotel, and Juliana drove there herself, not with me. Later, the evening of the first day, if I remember correctly.
And she stayed there with you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you remember what was going on at home with Christine and Valerie?
I believe my mother-in-law, Linda, was with Christine and Valerie.
Okay. That was on the 31st of January and February 1st?
I don't remember the exact date of Winchester, but
Okay. Would that be common for your mother-in-law or even your mother to come down to help out with the kids?
well, there's only Valerie, but yes, it is extremely common that the grandmothers came to visit us. Oftentimes, each of them may come almost as every 4 to 6 weeks, and they may spend between 5 and 10 days. As I had said before, Valerie was the only grandchild of both sides of the grandparents, and so there was quite a lot of support from the grandparents with Valerie.
Okay. Now, January 13th and January 14th, was that one of those days when someone was visiting? Or that weekend?
I mean, they visited frequently, but I don't remember specifically that they visited that weekend.
Okay. Now, let's talk about February 24th. Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what were you doing that morning? What was your plan for the day with work or with the family or?
Sure. February 23rd is my birthday, and the evening I was planning to drive to New York with Valerie. My friends in New York had planned a birthday party for me in New York.
And I'm sorry, the 23rd was your birthday. Are you talking about the next day?
The previous day.
Previous day of 23rd?
So I believe February 23rd was a Thursday, which was
Right.
my 38th birthday, and the
Okay.
24th was the day that.
Okay. And my question was, when you were talking about going up, your friends were having a party. You're talking about the 24th?
Well, yes, because that was Friday, and I had to work on that Friday still, so I was going to go to New York in the evening.
Okay. So the 24th, your day was planned, and what did you fill your day with in terms of your plan?
So, but in terms of the day was an important day for me at work as well. There was a important meeting for one of my cases. There was going to be a undercover operation for one of my cases. And we were meeting with the undercover officer, a senior special agent, and my manager. And that meeting was scheduled for 9:30 that day. This was a particularly important meeting for me, as had been indicated that success in this case may lead to me getting a promotion to a senior special agent.
Okay. So had you ever heard that kind of talk before?
Yes, other people that were hired a similar time as me, you have to hit certain milestones before you could progress to being a senior agent.
So Friday, February 24th, 2023 was potentially a milestone for you
Yes,
in terms of your career?
it was supposed to be the meeting that would set up for the undercover operation, which was going to take place most likely on Tuesday. So we were going to go over all the documentation and the plan for the operation on Tuesday the following week.
Okay. Now, so what did that mean in terms of your normal waking up or any other usual habits?
I woke up a little bit earlier that day. I was planning to get to my office, which is in Vienna, a little bit earlier, so that I could set up the conference room, have my documents ready, have my presentation ready, have the document for the operation available so that it could be signed off by management.
Okay. And so what time did you wake up that morning?
I believe I woke up 6:30.
Okay. And do you remember whether or not Christine was up?
Christine I had seen seemed to be awake and on her cell phone when I was getting ready and taking a shower to get ready for work.
Okay. Now, did you have any sort of interaction with her at that time?
Yes, she was aware that I had this meeting that day. She wished me luck. She said that she would talk to me before I headed to New York with Valerie. Told me she loved me and have a good day.
Okay, so you carried on with your morning. What did that entail?
I went downstairs and got my work laptop out of the basement. My work from home space at that time was in the basement. I have a desk down there. It's because it's quiet. So I got my work stuff ready. I made sure that I had all of my equipment. Getting ready on a typical day would mean that I need to have my credentials, which includes my badge, my firearm, my holster, my handcuffs, two magazines, a belt clip badge, my work cell phone, and then generally I would also have my personal cell phone, my wallet, and my keys, which includes to my government vehicle.
And so you had a holster that would hold the gun?
Yes,
And to what side was that holster?
it's on the right because I'm right-handed.
Okay, and so presumably you're putting it in the right and the gun comes out of it on the right side?
Correct.
Okay. Now, who else was up when you, and what else was going on in the house that you were involved with?
I know Juliana was downstairs when I came upstairs from getting my work stuff out, my work laptop out of the basement. I don't remember exactly what she was doing. I think she might have been getting stuff ready in the kitchen.
Let me just stop you right there. Prior to that time, which would be February 24th, had you ever taken Christine's laptop or taken her phone out of a bag near the door?
No, I don't take her laptop. I have no reason to use her laptop. I don't have access to her laptop. It's not a password that I know. I have my own work laptop. I have my own home desktop. I have my own, actually I have two cell phones. I have a personal cell phone and a work cell phone. Our devices were completely separate.
And so, in terms of, that's fine. In terms of the idea of the laptop, where it would be on a regular basis, do you have a recollection of where she would put her laptop?
Christine kept her laptop actually in several places. Sometimes it is by the front door when she gets home. She would have a backpack, and she would bring the backpack and drop it off, and generally go visit Valerie and our dog and me. But usually she would go upstairs and she would bring her backpack with her, and her desk is in the sitting area of our master bedroom. So if you were to go into the master bedroom, you can kind of either go left or right, and to the left is the sitting area, which is where Christine does her work and has her desk and her file and has her files for her job. And if you went to the right, it would be where the master bedroom is, and for a little bit further, the master bathroom. But she didn't also only keep her laptop at her desk. I would say the majority of her use would be sitting in bed with her back against the headboard, while she had TV on or something like that. And when she would be done, she might put the laptop in between her nightstand and the bed, or on the nightstand itself, or back on her desk, generally at night.
And so, and what about her phone? Where would there be a particular place where she might leave her phone?
I mean, her phone was basically always connected to her. Her phone wasn't really away from her basically ever. I mean, she would keep it in her pocket.
So following up on the discussion we had about a plan, was there ever any time, and I think you indicated that you never went and grabbed her laptop or whatever, was there ever any time you observed Juliana going to grab her laptop or her phone?
I never observed Juliana grab her laptop or her phone. Juliana also has her own laptop and phone.
Now, what, if anything, was Juliana and what were Juliana and Valerie supposed to be doing on February 24th?
Christine had scheduled for Valerie and Juliana to go to the zoo, at the main zoo in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Did you have any role in that?
I didn't have any role in planning the trip. I was aware of the trip.
And how did you become aware of the trip?
Christine had told me that that was something they were going to do.
Okay, so you never kind of forced that on her for the 24th?
No, it was also written on our calendar that was shown earlier. Christine had written it on the calendar. She had also written it on Juliana's work schedule in her au pair book.
Now, what, if anything, did you know about the plan for that day for them?
I knew that they were planning to go in the morning. I don't recall if I knew what time they were supposed to go, but I knew they were going in the morning, and I knew that when I saw Juliana in the morning, that's what she was working on doing, was getting Valerie ready. But Juliana had actually asked me to go get Valerie from upstairs. At some point in the morning, I heard Valerie's feet, meaning that she got out of her bed and pounded down the hallway and ran into my room.
Okay.
And so Juliana had asked me to get Valerie because Valerie wasn't in her room to start getting her ready. So I got Valerie out of my bed, which happened after I had finished getting my equipment ready.
And did you see Christine there?
Yes, when I had gone back upstairs, Christine was there, and she was sitting up. She was sitting up in bed. She had the blanket over her lap. She had both her laptop and her cell phone.
Okay, and what, if anything, so when you took Valerie, where did you take her in order to?
Valerie was sleepy, so when I picked her up, she was still kind of limp, and I carried her downstairs to Juliana, and Juliana got her, kind of woke her up gently and changed her out of pajamas and into her clothes for the day.
Okay, did you take any part in getting ready, get sandwiches ready, get anything like that ready?
No, I was getting ready. I was getting ready to leave myself. I wasn't. Besides collecting Valerie, I wasn't doing anything to help them get ready for the day.
What time did you get out of the house that day? Do you have any recollection?
Roughly 7.
Okay,
A couple minutes
and
after 7.
Would that be a usual time for you to leave?
I would say a more usual time for me to leave is roughly 7:30.
Okay. And in this instance, you were going earlier for what reason?
I was going earlier to just make sure that I had plenty of time in Vienna to get my presentation ready and have the conference room ready for when management was going to inspect my operation and documents for the operation that was supposed to happen on Tuesday.
Okay, and I'm sorry, you said Vienna. Why Vienna?
Vienna is where my office is. We have a couple offices, but that's the That's the one that I'm stationed out of.
That's the home office for you?
Yes, that's my home office. The main office is in Washington DC, but this is one of the satellite offices, and that's the one that I work out of.
And what time was that meeting set for?
It was set for 9:30.
Okay, so you left at 7, for what reason?
I left at 7. I was going to go get breakfast, and after breakfast, I was going to get on the 267 toll road and head towards my office.
Okay, and where did you end up going to breakfast that morning?
I went to McDonald's for breakfast.
Okay, is that a common occurrence for you?
I would say that I occasionally go to McDonald's, but I often pick up breakfast on my way to work. Not necessarily McDonald's. Sometimes it's bagel places or place to get an egg sandwich.
Okay.
Things like that.
So it's not uncommon. You don't usually make your breakfast at home?
On the weekend, I usually make a bigger breakfast for everyone. But no, normally I don't make breakfast for myself before work.
So when you went to McDonald's, there you saw the video that the Commonwealth showed of you driving up to the drive-through,
Yes.
and it looks as though, well, it appears you go past the drive-through at one point. Is that correct?
It did. I circled the drive-through.
What was the reason for that?
The McDonald's app has a QR code so that you get reward points and you can use the deals that you get. And when I initially opened it, it didn't provide me with my code. And that's why I was like blocking the drive-through. And so then I basically just got back in line once the code came up.
Okay, and so.
It was pretty quick.
And you had that app on your phone at that time?
I've had the McDonald's app for several years.
Okay. Now, when you, so I'm sorry, explain to me a little bit about that app. I'm not familiar with it.
You can order directly from there, but that's generally not what I do, because then the food gets made before you get there. So normally, I just open up the QR code section, and you can look at the deals, and the deals tell you, you can get a free hash brown with your breakfast, and you can load that, or you can get a orange juice or coffee with it, and then you'll get reward points, and you can use the reward points to get free food too. So
Okay.
it's kind of a loyalty app that's you would find for many restaurants.
And so, when it didn't work the first time you came back around,
Yeah.
and did it work?
Yes. Then my QR code came up, and I went to order.
Okay, so when we see you in your work vehicle with your sunglasses on, you got your food after that?
Yes.
Okay, and then what did you do?
I pulled straight forward. The McDonald's, the shopping center that the McDonald's is in, the McDonald's is kind of a standalone building. But basically you cross over the road. It's a road in the parking lot. You cross over the road. It's only, it's a two-way road. And basically right on the other side of that road is parking spaces. And I was going to sit there to eat my breakfast.
Okay, and what was the parking space, what was the landmark next to your parking space?
It's kind of in front of Chuck E. Cheese, but it's really only a few feet from the exit of the drive-through.
Okay, and so you went there to go eat your sandwich?
Yes, but I started with eating a cookie from midnight treats that my friends had brought me for my birthday the day before. If you're familiar with a place like Crumble, they're large cookies.
Okay.
I ate that first.
Okay, so you ate the cookie, and then what happened?
I started my car back up and went back to McDonald's to use the restroom.
Okay. And is that in the video, the second parking, or the first parking space that you went into?
Yes, so you see me park next to the side entrance of McDonald's.
Yes. And then, what if anything, I mean, you went to the restroom, so what happened then?
As I was finishing up in the restroom, I received a call from Juliana.
And without saying what she said, what did you do?
I left the restroom and went back to my car quickly.
And was she alarmed at the time?
She sounded that she was very stressed.
Okay. Did you tell her that you were coming back?
I did not tell her that I was coming back on that original phone call. On the original phone call, I told her that I was going to call Christine.
Okay. And did you do that?
I did try to call Christine, but I did not reach her.
Okay. And so in terms of your communications with Christine, was that unusual for her to not pick up the phone?
I wouldn't say that it's unusual for Christine not to pick up the phone, but I would say it's unusual that her phone would go directly to voicemail. Many times if I would call her, she could be busy at work, but her phone would probably be on silent, and therefore it would ring and then go to voicemail. And then she might text me or call me back and let me know when she can call me back. But it was unusual that her phone went directly to voicemail.
Okay. Now, and so what did that cause you to do?
I believe I tried to call Christine again, of which it went to voicemail straight again. After that, I called Juliana back, and I told Juliana not to go in the house, and that I was going to return to the house.
Okay. And did you do that?
I did.
How long did it take you to get back to the house?
10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, hard to say.
How long would it normally take?
I guess it depends there's a couple traffic lights. 8 to 12 minutes.
At that point, were you rushing? Were you?
Objection leading.
What if, at that point, how was it that you were proceeding back to the house after the two phone calls that Christine didn't answer and the phone calls you received from Juliana?
I started driving quickly back to the house. I took the most direct route back to the house.
Okay. Now, if I can just stop you right there. Was there any plan for how something would happen with Juliana on February 24th?
There was no plan with Juliana on February 24th. As far as I knew, Juliana was going to be going to the zoo with Valerie, and Christine had just taken off from work, and I understood that she was going to be home, but I didn't know anything else at that point. I was more concerned with my day of what I had to do at my job.
Prior to leaving the house, Did you do anything with anyone's devices other than your own?
I didn't touch anyone else's devices that I remember that morning. I was just getting ready for work.
Okay. Specifically, did you touch Christine's devices, either of those?
No, I did not touch her devices.
Meaning the laptop and the phone?
No, I did not touch her devices.
Mr. Carroll, is this a good time, or do you have more questions?
May I just look one
Sure,
second,
sure.
Judge? Judge, this might be a good break.
Okay, this is a good break. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, since it is 5 o'clock right now, so we'll go ahead and take our evening break. Please do not discuss the case with anybody. Don't do any outside research. I understand that everybody is available for Friday. Again, I'm sorry that I have to thank you for being flexible. I'm sorry that we have to keep changing things. I know somebody can't get here until around 9:30. We'll wait for you whenever you can get here, and we will stop at 4:30 on the dot for somebody who needs to leave as well, okay? So that'll be the Friday schedule, okay? All right, have a good evening. Mr. Banfield, since you're in the middle of your testimony, you can't discuss your testimony with anybody at this time. That includes your attorney, okay?
Okay.
All right, you can have a seat back with your attorney. Is there any other matters for this evening?
Judge,
Yes.
if I may,
Yes.
I was remiss in not asking, is Mr. Miller still subject
Is
to
Mr. Miller still
recall by?
subject to recall? Detective Miller, is he still subject to recall?
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Yes, you did, but that's okay. If you're,
I don't plan on calling him, Judge.
okay, so he can be released then?
Thank
Detective
you.
Miller can
And then,
be
as I
released?
had indicated this morning, I would like to request that Detective Stephen Augustine be permitted to watch the testimony for his expert.
Okay. Any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay, so we'll take care of that tomorrow and help out Friday morning at 9:30, finish up the jury instructions. We don't have much left. so-
Judge, we should be able to do it. I anticipate we can do it at the end of tomorrow.
Okay, do you want to do the jury instructions at the end of tomorrow? It's just, I mean, we only have basically the charging instructions left and the waterfalls.
We should be able to do it.
Okay, and there's just one thing with that while I have you here, because I know it's only, you have the 2 charging instructions for aggravated murder, okay?
Yes.
But for the record, I have 4 counts.
You do.
So are we going to select like
We
count
are.
1 and count 3, or count 2 and count 4?
We are.
All right, just as long as I can get that on the record, I would appreciate that,
Once-
just to clean it up.
Once this has concluded, then we
Perfect.
will be able to let Your Honor know how we elect to
Okay.
proceed with the charges.
Excellent, that's great. Okay, so we'll see you in the morning then at 10 a.m., okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care.